Welcome to MSP Voice, the weekly show for MSPs by MSPs. Brought to you by MSP 360, the #1 cross-platform cloud backup. Learn more at msp360.com. This is MSP Voice. Hello and welcome to MSP Voice. This is episode number 59. Today I am joined by Tony Tsao out of Vancouver, British Columbia. His company is Perplow, and he explains how they got the name right at the beginning. So in case you're wondering, and that's why this episode is also titled Purple Ocean. So listen in to figure out what is going on there. Great interview with Tony today. Some housekeeping here. MSPvoice.com is your source for all things MSP Voice. We've got all of our past episodes as well as Be the Next Guest. Click on that, sign up, be the next guest. Also, be notified of new episodes by registering for the email. Put in your name and email address in there and subscribe. And you'll get an email each time we release a new episode, which is typically on Wednesday. So a couple quick news items this week. First up, this headline scared me. Hackers disable MSP backups, launch ransomware attacks. So that headline scared me, and I'm like, quickly scan it to see who the backup provider was. They speak in generality, so there was no mention of any backup provider. It wasn't MSP 360, as far as I know. But it just kind of goes in and talks about some of the best practices. So they don't name names, but they do mention that hackers are getting in. They disable the backups, and then they go in and release their ransomware. So essentially, sometimes they might disable it days or weeks or months before the ransomware attack occurs. So if you're not regularly checking to make sure that your backups are occurring, it could definitely be leaving you open to some serious ransomware attacks. So they then go into talking about safeguarding against attacks, things that we all know we should be doing. It's kind of like a broken record over here, but obviously multi-factor authentication. Make sure that your backup disaster recovery service or system that you're using has security system alerts, so that if a backup doesn't happen, you get a notification. Embrace an MSP documentation platform, so keep up to date with all documentation. Stay informed, sign up with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security alerts, so you get those. Build a plan. So, just all these different types of things we need to keep into account as MSPs on a day-to-day basis. Don't ignore it. The threat is out there. Make sure to follow some of these best practices. Next up is a little self-serving, but it's just a little bit of MSP 360 in the news. My show, my employer, as well as the sponsor for this podcast. So I did an interview last week when I was out in Las Vegas with channelbuzz.ca with Mark Cox. Good time out in Vegas for ChannelCon. Great talking to Mark, and he just kind of goes into detail a little bit more about the name change, about our new CEO, and all those types of things. So if you're interested in terms of MSP 360 and Cloudberry becoming MS 360, check it out and take a read. But with that, that's all I've got for this week in the news. So I'll jump right into the interview and have a great week. Hello and welcome. Today I am pleased to be joined by Tony Tsao out of Vancouver in British Columbia up in Canada. Tony, welcome.
Thank you, Doug. It's good to be here. Greetings from Vancouver, Canada.
Great, and your company is Perplow, Purplo.
That's right, Purplo Consulting.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah, definitely.
Any history behind it?
Well, we needed a name, and we needed to pick something that easy to pronounce, and also at the same time memorable. So we took the idea of there was a Harvard Business Review article about red ocean, blue ocean, more than a decade ago, and we thought if you take red and blue and you mix it all up, it becomes purple ocean.
Okay.
So purple color ocean. So we kind of we're merge that into one word and make it SEO friendly and make sure we can be found online.
No, that's great, and it's also great when it's unique, because then you can set Google alerts and and those types of things.
Exactly, that's what we do.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your business up there.
Yeah, so we also run this managed services provider business. We have 5 people in here, and we love helping companies with their technology.
Mm-hmm.
And technology is an area where everybody's paying attention to these days. And it's also a good entry into a company to see how their business processes are performed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where my personal interests are in. My background is in accounting. I have a CPA designation. I don't practice tax, but I love technology to spend time with my clients on talking about tech. And that inadvertently, later on in the conversation, becomes more strategic, that we get to actually help them with business process mapping.
Okay. So is that kind of what made you get into managed services, to begin with?
Yeah, and before I got my CPA, I was already a programmer. So I did that for a few years. Got tired of chasing all these tech, but went into business school and got my accounting designation. And after that, it's like, wow, that's a lot of boring stuff for me. I like to do strategic stuff. I like to do business consulting, but I don't enjoy the financial reporting aspect of it, because you're looking at the history, you're looking at year end or month end, that's already history.
Yeah.
I would love to be more forward thinking. And tech, it's my passion. I jumped right into tech after I got my CPA.
Okay, great. So when you started Perplow, did you start off with break fix, or are you just all managed from the beginning?
We also started with a lot of the break fix client. We approach it slightly more differently. We package the break fix into mini projects. And we tell our clients that, okay, well, let's start with baby steps. You get a chance to test us. We get a chance to know you. So we always pick low hanging fruit and package them up as a fixed engagement mini projects. We try a few of those until we are comfortable with the client to say, hey, you know what, why don't we work out a fixed fee engagement so we cover all your IT needs, and we'll provide the licensing area and single point of contact. So that naturally grow from there. So that's still our model these days. We jump in, but we do mini projects. So we rather not count the hours, but we deliver a result. And then we say, okay, for that result, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. And people like that approach. They just want that certainty.
Okay. Yeah. And it's kind of a try before you buy aspect as well.
Exactly.
So instead of committing, month to month, right off the bat, it's like, hey, let's do a few things together, see if everything works out. Right. Because part of it is, do your cultures mix, right? I mean, do you want them as a customer, and do they want you, in their office or in their business, so to speak?
Yeah, exactly. So if you're not happy with, anything, we believe it's all about fit. It's not necessarily that they are a bad customer or we're a bad vendor. It's just that sometimes the corporate culture, the business culture just doesn't go along very well. And therefore, after one project, we would naturally part ways. So there is no hard feeling. We deliver the results, the little result they wanted for that particular scope. And if they don't contact us again, no, that's fine. No hard feeling.
Definitely. So do you specialize in any kind of verticals in terms of your customers?
Obviously, accounting would be my starting point. So I have a lot of accounting office clients, and that naturally grows from there. So accountants will refer me to lawyers. Lawyers will refer me to their clients or architect or somebody that they're working with. So our major group of demographic or verticals would be professional services firm. And it jives very well with our culture, because we're also a professional services firm, and we understand that we're all here trying to deliver a quality service. And generally, the lingo and the terminology are very compatible, right? We also work in billable hour. They work in billable hour. Right? Although lawyers can charge $400, that's out of our league. But we're working with the same model here. And when they are down in terms of technology, they suffer more in billable hours than we do. So we can definitely understand what challenges they're going through. And we bring them innovative ideas on, for example, desktop as a service, so they can work from anywhere. A lot of these business professionals now are working mobile. They're on the road a lot. So we try to help them not to be stuck at their desk in their office as well.
Okay. Now, desktop as a service, do you use a service for that? Do you provide it yourselves through a data center?
Yeah, definitely. So we offer this as a service to certain clients that don't mind going all in on the cloud. So in terms of those clients, we would migrate their in-house server into a cloud server.
Okay.
So we partner with Microsoft Azure and Amazon for that. We have also been recently working with CloudJumper to offer more desktop level, like Windows 10 desktop as a service.
Okay.
And what we deliver to the client are just zero clients or dump terminals.
Yep.
So that they can remote into their cloud servers. So they're all hosted in data centers.
Okay. Yeah. And now what about, I know Microsoft is coming out with their desktop offerings.
Yes. Yeah, we looked into a lot about that. Initially, there were some confusion, and right now we're still running a few pilot tests on a few clients. But I believe Microsoft Windows Desktop is not designed as a kind of Amazon workspaces replacement. It's really technology enablers to enable the host companies like CloudJumper. Or any other hosting provider to provide that service to their end clients. So we don't buy that directly from Microsoft, but we buy it, for example, from Cloudberry. That will allow us to take advantage of Microsoft Azure Cloud to deliver the desktop management services. So yeah, that has been working out well, and we're happy to actually introduce it to more clients. I think that's the future.
Okay, and you said Cloudberry there, but you meant CloudJumper.
That's right. CloudJumper. Everybody starts with the name of cloud these days. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people don't think Cloudberry is starting to deliver desktop as a service.
That's right.
It's no problem.
Right.
Now, what about other software that you use? Just to run your business. And I'm sure, because like you said, you're a professional services organization. You work with other professional services organizations. Do you all kind of have the similar software stack when it comes to things like accounting and CRM, or do you recommend those types of things?
I would say yes and no. Some of the software are more common, regardless of which field you're in.
Yeah.
For example, both me and my accounting clients, we both use QuickBooks Online. And to that extent, we are the same. And we can actually help them or coach them on the usage of the software. Not necessarily the accounting aspect, although sometimes because I'm an accountant, they'll come to me for advice on how to use the software and accounting aspect too, but generally we stay within the technology side of things. Other things like practice management software, which is the actual software that track your billable hour, is very different from different professional fields to different professional fields, right? So for us, we have a ticketing system that has time entry attached to it. For accountants or lawyers, they have their own vertical specific software. So if you're actually targeting these clients or you're servicing them, you would learn about those software.
Okay. Great. And, it sounded like from the beginning, you said, you have your accounting background. And so, you've gotten a good inroad into accounting organizations, which then leads to lawyers and leads to other customers. So it sounds like a lot of word of mouth in terms of customer acquisition, but do you also advertise?
We do very little advertising. We do have a marketing agency that's managing our SEO and a modest amount of marketing spent on Google and Facebook. But I think we found the biggest result as in local networking. So for example, me and my business partner, we would actually go to local chamber of commerce and we would deliver lunch and learn session there. We would network with those people. We also would invite them to our webinar. So through the local outreach or regional outreach, sometimes we do webinar and we actually broadcast it to other cities. So through these regional outreach, we are having more successes in picking up clients than the actual marketing spend.
Sometimes it's better to get out there, and actually, be in front of the people so they can see you versus just, if hoping they search the right terms that's going to bring up your site and.
It's really an irony because we're working in high tech, but I found that a lot of the high tech comes down to personal level trust. So if you have seen that person, you have actually heard this person talk, a lot of the demeanor of that person will create the top of mind situation. So the next time that person is thinking of you or any tech, they'll think of this person that he had heard. So I had, attendees of a webinar or a seminar locally would come to me like 2 or 3 years after and say, hey, I remember a couple of years ago, I was at the chamber. It's like, oh, I don't remember about that one anymore. And I still have clients coming back or potential clients coming back and say, yeah, I was in the audience. So that was great. Yeah.
Great. So thinking, now how long has Perplow been in business? I forgot to ask that earlier.
We started this in 2007, but it really hasn't been transitioned to the MSP model until about 2012. So if you officially count an MSP model from 2012, then yeah, that would be about 7 years.
Okay, no, great. So thinking back, to 7 years or even, before that, what advice do you have for someone getting started in this area in managed services?
Wow, that's a big question. There's a lot of things to think about.
You know now,
right? I would say the biggest thing is design your stack well and design your business before you go on and start taking on fully managed clients or the contract clients. Because what you don't know in the beginning can come back to haunt you. So going back to what I described earlier, we started with mini projects. Well, to be honest, that there were a few clients that we took on as a monthly MSP client that actually turned out to be a money loser after a few months. Because if you sign on a client and you don't know about their environment, you don't know what sort of server they're running, those issues can generate a lot of tickets and can cut into your labor time. So be careful with that. I would say that's one thing that people need to watch out for. And also just to make sure you pick your technology stack well, you know your costs, you know your operating model, and you build that model, you test that model before you put a lot of workload on that model.
Okay, great. So you mentioned a little bit earlier, but what is for you the greatest part of being in this business of being in managed services?
I think it's the flexibility that you can, with our remote tools, you can literally work from anywhere.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the perks for a tech, involving in tech. The second thing is it's very rewarding to be seen as a trusted advisor by your clients. When a client comes back to you for advice and they follow that advice, that is a very fulfilling experience that you are actually helping all these clients finding their ways, their journeys to success in their business. Okay,
great. What's the worst part about being in managed services?
I would say it's the responsibility, the almost like a stress level that you're feeling when you're putting all that responsibility of their disaster recovery, their security on your hand. Especially with all these major hack or breaches occurring on a daily basis. There's a lot of security threats, there's a lot of uncertainties. And as MSPs, we're taking a lot of that responsibility on our shoulder. And that's one thing that could potentially keep me up at night. Just that, am I 100% sure all the backup and disaster recovery for all the client have been taken care of? Am I sure that I'm watching their security so a breach won't happen on my watch? Right? So I think that's a lot to take on, and I think that also exemplifies the value of an MSP, because in this world of a very uncertain world, clients are looking for certainty, and I believe MSP can provide that certainty. Number one, there's a cost certainty because we're committed into a fixed amount investment with the client. So within the project scope, we are actually delivering cost certainty and we're delivering a result. That's something a lot of other businesses can't deliver, or they don't want to, be liable for. Like even an accountant, right? Accountants will ask you to sign off on a disclaimer that, what, we didn't audit your number and these numbers are provided by you, so we have, nothing to do with it.
Yep.
Even an accountant would not dare take on a lot of responsibility for similar costs of what we're taking on our clients at. So we need to be confident, but at the same time, we need to be able to say that, yes, we have a lot of that due diligence and our hard work put into it, so we can justify charging the client for that amount and also justify their trust.
Okay, great. Now, I know one other thing in terms of managed service providers is community. Other MSPs. Are you consider yourself part of the MSP community? Are there places you hang out? Peers you bounce things off of?
Yeah, I think one of the best part about this whole business journey is the community of MSP behind everybody. So, for example, I'm a part of the ASCII group in North America. I'm also a part of another group called Computer Repair Owners Association, ACRBO. Other than that, I try to make up to conferences, either ASCII Success Summit or Microsoft Partner Summits, for example. And then even, more informally organized group like Reddit MSP group gave me a lot of insights on how everybody runs their own business. And also, at the same time, if you ever ask for a question over there or ask someone for help, there's tremendous amount of support coming from every direction to come out of their woodworks to help you.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's definitely something that's really strong with our community.
Yeah, and I've been to a lot of the ASCII shows, because we're MSP 360 is the sponsor.
Right.
I'm wondering if you were at the Seattle one last year.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I drilled down. Yeah.
Yep. Because I'm like thinking last year Seattle would have been the closest for you.
That's right. Yeah. And then this year another one is happening just in a month or less than a month in Toronto. So yeah, I might show up to that one too.
Okay. Well, but that's like a lot further than Seattle. So
that's right. Yeah, I have to cross to the other side of the ocean. Yes, of course.
Great. So thinking about technology, what technologies are you most excited about today? Whether it's current or something that's on the horizon, what are you looking forward to?
Well, there's a lot to be looking out for, actually. I just touched on the Windows Desktop VDI, Virtual Desktop. That I really truly believe is the way of the future. We see a lot of fiber going in our community in Vancouver these days. I believe in the next few years, a lot of people will be getting fiber to their local premise. The last mile of fiber is really getting deployed. So with that level of connectivity, there will be virtually no difference whether you're running your desktop in the data center or running it locally. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm pretty excited about introducing that to some of our clients. That's one thing. Now, outside of our immediate world, there's a lot of things that would get me excited about as a general tech person, autonomous vehicle. We have a lot of things like, the self-driving car is going to be a game changer. I can't I can't wait to actually jump on one when that becomes available. So I would say that's one of the major things. There's countless other things happening to AI all around us. Yeah. So I would say AI is going to change the world, but it's also scary in a way that you don't know what new possibility. And as human, we naturally fear what we don't know.
Yep.
But again, I don't think there's a whole ton to be fearful about. It's just about taking the time to understand them well.
Yeah. So, understanding that though, what technologies are you most worried about?
I would say it's more like AI in its most negative way. These out of the science fiction that an artificial intelligence would try to take over the world and take over from human, right? Scan it, just went live, become self-aware. We're a long way from that. But when I say long way, it's probably within our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, AI, it's in its infancy, but it's picking up speed quite a lot. So
Yeah.
how do we regulate that future? How do we actually cope with that new intelligence would be something that we need to actually really think about in the next few years, because this thing is probably going to be mature, say within 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But I feel that a lot of times the human culture or the legislation, the legal aspect isn't going to be able to catch up with it that fast.
Probably not. It took a while to catch up to just to the internet. So
yeah, exactly.
Great. So are you ready for the rapid fire round?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. This is easy. It's just 6 questions. Whatever answer best fits. It's
Sure.
not a test. Okay.
No. Okay.
All right. First up, Apple or Android?
Android.
Okay. Mac, Linux, or Windows?
Linux and Windows.
Okay. Amazon, Azure, or something else?
Amazon don't run Azure, but Amazon, Azure, and something else, it's a maybe.
Okay. For backups, local, cloud, or both?
Both.
Okay. That's right in. That was a test. When it comes to virtualization, should you always virtualize?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, which is worse, printer support or vendor cold calls?
Vendor calls.
Okay. That one's, I always, sometimes it's, I hate printers, and others are like, yeah, I hate vendors. So, it just depends.
That's awesome.
Tony, before we go, anything else that you want to, let our audience know about? Any other bits of wisdom you have for us?
Oh no, I would I expected to note something about Cloudberry. Cloudberry is awesome. That's all I got to say.
Thanks.
Cloudberry has been awesome. We're moving a lot of our backup infrastructure to Cloudberry. It offers us a lot of flexibility and cost efficiency, and managing everything under the cloud dashboard, the online dashboard. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks. And now, are you going to Azure or Amazon or something else?
I think no. We are on Wasabi and Backblaze.
Backblaze, yeah, B2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're on B2 and Wasabi.
Yeah, those are both very popular. Because again, if you have customers who are price sensitive, it does help. But they don't necessarily have all the features that S3 and Azure have. But it's still cloud storage. It's offsite. It ticks all the boxes. So yeah, it works out. Great.
Awesome.
Well, Tony, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and maybe I'll see you in Toronto in a couple weeks.
Yeah, see you in Toronto.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Doug.